Hollywood hates original animation right now, and that wasn't always true. I'm an animation writer, and I sold my first animated project to Tornante, who does BoJack Horseman. Gosh, how many years ago was it now? 8, I think. Yeah. So when I sold this show, it was a great idea my old writing partner and I had, but it had no art. It had a sort of concept deck that had references to other things. We had a funny pitch. We didn't have a script written. And I guess just based off the strength of the idea in our comedy, we were able to sell it and have meetings other places about it. So yeah, now that could for sure not happen. And I know this because I have a direct example. My husband and I are working on another project that we're hoping to sell. It's about the first multiracial drag review to tour America in the 1950s, based on a true story called The Jewel Box Review. And the drag king MC, Storm DeLavery, is a black butch lesbian who throws the first punch at Stonewall. And we have so much prepared for this. My husband wrote the pilot script. He has a pitch deck with lots of visual references, both from the animatics and from other sources. We have 2 animatics of 2 songs from the show. We're currently working on the animatic of the dialogue scene, so we have like a short version of the pilot complete. We even have interest from cool actors who saw the materials and are interested in playing the leads. And all of that is like not enough to get a meeting sometimes. Some people are like, cool. Well, let us know when you have more. And I'm like, what more? Do you literally want me to have it made already? And that is the issue, that we are just living in a very IP-driven animation space right now. We won't forever, but I want to reassure everybody that while the pendulum swings back, there is some taking stock we can do of how we got here, how it might get worse, and how it might get better. So how did we get here? Well, there is a lot, is the answer. And a lot that's like bigger than just animation. So generally, I think anybody who's living like in the global economy can kind of tell that things aren't going super well right now. People's dollars don't go as far as they used to. They don't buy as much. And there's so many reasons for that. There are wars going on. There are supply chains disrupted. There's also this little thing called COVID. Don't know if you heard about it. And that has all really changed the way the economics of the world work. Now, how do economics of the world affect animation? Because everybody wants to get a bigger profit off their product, understandably. And so you don't just go in and say, hey, this show seems like a cool idea, let's do it. You say, hey, in comic book form, this sold millions of copies, it was very popular, and so likely when we make a show about it, it will be popular. Even one of the indie animation success stories, and I do mean Has Been Hotel, had 200 million views for the pilot on YouTube. Actually, it might have had 200 million views for the Poison music video, but in the hundreds of millions. And so A24 maybe is taking a risk on it because Vivian Madrano at the time is not an established creator. She did have hell of a boss. But there are numbers to back it up. So that's kind of what it is. We have had other industry trends that have been an issue. There was, I think people forget the firing of the agents because writers wanted to end packaging had a big effect on the industry. The strikes obviously came at a time of industry contraction already, where the streaming wars are kind of over. It's clear who the winners and losers are. And so people are making fewer shows because they're not competing in the same way with each other anymore. And there's this little thing, AI, on the way. So all of these factors combined have led to kind of a contraction and leaning into what's safe. How could this problem get worse? Well, I mean, even just from an artist perspective, I have friends who work at some of the bigger studios as storyboard artists, revisionists, directors, and what they say is like kind of the options are like Marvel, DC, those are proven properties that do well. And if there's going to be an indie idea, it's going to be something like Has Been Hotel that has a very proven fan base, hence Hell of a Boss getting picked up as well. So essentially, if you're not a proven quantity, nobody wants to take a risk on a flyer, and everything that doesn't have a huge fan base, like even having tens of thousands of followers, for instance, isn't enough. It's like having millions of followers is what makes a difference. There's like ultra success and everybody else. And it's funny because the audiences in talking, I'm a person, I talk to people. The casual complaint is like, there's nothing original, there's nothing interesting. And to an extent, that's true because that's not what's being programmed. People want to make safe programming decisions to keep their jobs because they're also, in addition to having plenty of artists out of work, visual artists, writers, directors, producers, you have executives who are losing their jobs too at all tiers, lower, middle, and upper level executives. So I think you lean into what's safe even more and more and just kind of like the same safes over and over again. Like something like Guardians of the Galaxy, while live action, I don't know that that property would get exploited now because it didn't have quite the built-in fan base of something more established like the Avengers. So I think you could totally see more and more shows just being copies of copies of copies, essentially AI but written by people. That's what I worry about with animation, that we're just making something that AI could make in a second anyway and not coming up with original thoughts, original worlds, original concepts, and the audience just goes away, and then fewer ideas, and it's just this negative cycle repeating itself over and over and over again. But there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Because I, working on an indie animation project myself right now, have started to really see how many amazing indie animation projects there are out there. And oh my goodness, like the gateway was YouTube, of course, seeing things like Pretty Pretty Please, I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, Wasteland, Knights of Guinevere, Lackadaisy, and just being so impressed by the art, the ingenuity, the imagination, the time it takes sometimes, seeing how videos are posted years apart before they ultimately turn into what they're meant to turn into, is utterly inspiring, and my hat is off to people who have that patience, and a patience that I know we will have to exhibit ourselves, my husband and I. And then I've recently gotten into going on the Clock app. I don't know if I'm going to be blocked from saying it, so I just want to be careful here. And there are so many projects and so many Kickstartering and so many crowdfunding, and you see everything. People who already have a bit of a following, people who are just starting out, but individual videos pop off in a way that is very impressive. And I've just started posting on there. My brand was before talking about like myself, my life, my students, because I'm also a teacher, and then just sort of making observations about the world, being a queer person in this world. And now I'm trying to really talk about my animation more, just because I've seen there are so many cool people out there doing so many cool things, and people are connecting. People are like, every time I see even like our counter on here for the animatic of the first song, I'm a Star, tick up by 1, it's so exciting and so gratifying to know, like, me looking at someone's artwork, telling them how beautiful it was, and then them being curious about mine. That sense of community it's just beginning, but I'm really moved and inspired by it. And seeing artists on all these platforms, obviously meeting artists in person, because it still happens. Just keep making art. That's really the answer. Keep making art and keep encouraging other people to make their art. That's the answer. It's tough. A lot of things have been outsourced in Hollywood in particular. Like even agents and managers maybe would have grown talent before, would have seen an idea they really liked and worked with someone, and now they too want to make sure that this person has like already worked before or has credit. I'm someone who, in addition to working on that show for Tornante, I've worked on a few shows for Moonbug, and sometimes I get told by like reps, oh, you're like a beginner, you're like in the developmental stage, and then they quickly follow that with, well, not really, but so it's tough out here for all of us, people who've worked on nothing and people who've worked on everything. And I just want to say your ideas matter. They're interesting, they're exciting, they're beautiful, they're funny, they're moving, they're deep. And it is hard to be your own publicist. It is hard to be your own agent. It's hard to be your own manager. An advantage some of you indie animators have is you are very talented artists, and my husband and I are hiring people because drawing is not what we do. We write, we produce, I act, we direct, he edits, but that is a skill set we do not have in the same way. I mean, some of this art he's done, but like, you know, animation takes a lot of drawing, as you all know. I just don't want to see originality go away, and I know we all have moments where we're feeling really down. So I do just want to encourage for people, this is a point, it is not a pattern. Also, I don't know, maybe Hollywood is cratering, period, but Hollywood is not the be-all, end-all. We have this platform here where we're able to share our work with each other and get an audience. And now more than ever, I think people see like there is no one way to do it. There is no safe way to do any of this. The rules are out the window, frankly. So keep making your art, keep being awesome, around Halloween, we'll be releasing a Halloween episode that's animated of my live action series, Open to It, which is a queer comedy about a couple that's exploring an open relationship. It's silly, it's spicy, there's drag queens in it. Deaf drag queens even. So, yeah. Don't give up. Please, 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 please. Because every time you don't give up, somebody else sees your work and they don't give up. On days when I feel like giving up, because I have them too, I see what you're doing and I don't give up. So thank you for inspiring me. I'll keep trying to inspire you. And know that there is no kill shot in life, no thing you're not doing, contest you're not winning. You are the kill shot.